On this week's show, we're discussing everything revealed at the Expedition 33 Awards, including 2 new Star Wars titles, 2 new Tomb Raider titles, Tomb Raider, some would say, Larian's next huge game, and a sequel to Control long in the making, plus the winners and losers of the whole award show, and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we get together to round up all of the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuild TV and available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. You just need to search for the GamerGuild Podcast or GamerGuild TV and you will find us there every Monday 8 AM when this show goes live. Your podcast players for the week are myself, Chris at Arcane Rogue, and the man of many pixels who had a good night's sleep last night, Mr. Richie. How fresh are you feeling?
Okay, medium fresh.
Medium
I
fresh.
have just done 6 shifts on the bounce. I was working last Sunday. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the time off to stay up. Well, to start recording at midnight and finish about 4 o'clock in the morning when I had to be at work the next day. This morning at 8 o'clock. So we are recording this on the Friday after the Game Awards. So you've had about 3 hours sleep or something.
No, I've had a little bit more. I made a point of getting some back. But yeah, I think all things said and done, I managed to get to sleep for probably about 5 AM. And then I had to get up at 7 AM to help get my daughter ready for nursery. So
for me, it was just that unfortunate thing where I couldn't find a way to be available because I couldn't get the time off work because I'm just too busy and trying to close things out for the year. And then Jeff Keighley moved the fucking time of the show.
Yeah, he did apologise.
He apologised, yeah, but he apologises every year.
Yeah, and he acknowledges us. He knows we're there. But you know what? We got there, and that's the whole point of this podcast, is that we get to break it down and round it up kind of after the fact. So that's obviously the main bulk of the show. This essentially is the Game Awards special. I did say at the beginning of the show in jest that it was the Expedition 33 Awards. We kind of knew this, anticipated this going in. There is a lot of discussion on the internet now around the Game Awards and how certain categories are stacked, and maybe if you've got so many nominations in certain categories, you should be kind of like maxed out. But I feel like that goes against the integrity of the awards. Like if you are the best game, guess what? If you're going to win the Game of the Year, chances are also the best in multiple different fields.
Yeah, if you're the Game of the Year, you're going to be the best in your genre.
Yeah, and possibly multiple other facets as well. So I can see why, because there was points at the end during the award show. It was kind of like, well, I guess who's going to win this one? Like they won best indie game because they are technically indie game, but they had like Kepler Publishing behind them, so they had a bit of funding and money and a well-experienced team of devs. It wasn't one guy in his bedroom making something, but then
it's also a testament of the overall quality of the game that in all the different disciplines that make a game, they were in contention or won.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it came to gameplay, when it came to the visuals, when it came to the sound design, the music,
best in class.
It's possible.
They were the best.
I think it's possible to be the best in the game, but be the second best in every single one of them categories.
Yeah.
But you're the best overall package, so it does kind of work. It just happens that occasionally going to get a game that sweeps.
Yeah. And I think both we will get to our Game of the Year discussion nearer the end of the year, because like a smartly planned out business, we wait till the actual end of the year to see what our Game of the Year is. We might play something cracking between now and 31st of December. Might change it a little bit. But we'll talk about that on a future episode, because we do have a great show lined up for you all. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring-a-ding-ding that bell so you are kept in the loop with all the great content we do here, like this very show, like our live streams, like our retro looks back. Right now, there is a retro PlayStation hunt going on the channel, and everything else in between. But we do appreciate your support, so thank you for tuning in. And if you don't already, follow us on social media, join us in the Discord, or more importantly, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you're playing at the moment, so it helps out the algorithm and helps new people find us. As Richie alluded to, we did a full stream of the Game Awards for, I feel like that's our 6th year we've streamed it on the channel now.
I think we've done it every single year since we started.
It's like a yearly tradition. And we started, if I recall. Well, if you remember this first one we did with all of the Stadia crew, we had Chase, Eddie, I feel like one other one, you, me, and Tom, I want to say maybe for the first one, but it was like 6 years ago now. So that'll be the sixth one, so over half a decade ago. But yeah, shout out to everyone who did join in. There was a couple of our wonderful guild heroes who joined us in the chat throughout as well, just giving a bit of back and forth with chat and discussion and nominations and expectations, etc. But it's out of the way now, Richie, so we know we've got a really good kind of roadmap of what we're going to be playing in the months and years to come. Some closer than others, some a little bit further away. But with that being the bulk of the show, we'll just do a quick brief touch in. I'm still playing Dispatch, going for that trophy in terms of what I'm playing this week. I'm kind of waiting until I break up from work now to really like dig my teeth into something big. I've got Avatar, which I've played a little bit of, but lined up to go. I'm toying with the idea of maybe starting Cyberpunk. I don't know. I'm ready to jump into that next big thing. I just want to be done with work now, so I can actually like commit to it. So I think I'll just chick away at Dispatch for now, and then go into it. How about yourself?
Still on that Octopath wagon. I'm probably about I reckon about 15 hours in to Octopath Zero. Still loving it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this game is going to be massive because I've barely left a small section of the map.
Have you done a zoom out yet?
What?
Have you done a zoom out on the map and you go, oh no, and you realise
it-
you're in like this tiny little bottom quadrant?
Yeah, it's huge. I don't know if anyone listening to this has seen the map for Octopath 1, where it's kind of centered around like there's two like main land masses around the sea. Fairly typical. Octopath 0 starts north of that, and you travel your way south. So
Yeah.
I haven't even got to the areas that are from Octopath 1 yet.
Right. So, because it's kind of contained within that expanded world, isn't it? But well, that's what the festive season's for, Richie. Chipping away, committing to something,
Exactly.
Enjoying it. We haven't really got it in the doc, but have you had a chance to have a look at your PlayStation in review? Yeah, your Xbox in review? Yeah, your Nintendo in review? Yeah. Or should we put a pin in it till next week?
We can put a pin in it.
If the news is a bit slow, it's probably a good thing that we can get into.
To be honest, mine's basically utterly pointless because my numbers are so skewed by me leaving my console on all the time. It's meaningless.
Interesting.
So, it doesn't make mine doesn't mean anything.
Well, maybe we could review which anti-eco-friendly mode you left on the most. Which game drained the most off the power grid?
It's the portal's fault because I have a habit of turning off the portal, but forgetting that doesn't turn off the console. So then the console is just in whatever like eco mode it's on.
Yeah.
So it just stays on for probably a couple of hours.
A nice little feature for this year's was they did actually highlight how many hours you spent on the portal. So I clocked in 95 hours on the portal out of my 450 something. So I was like, that's quite a nice little insight into like how my playing styles have diverged since getting the portal.
I didn't see anything like that. And what
it was further down.
I call bullshit on mine because it says what controller you've used the most, and mine was a white DualSense. I was like, bullshit, it's the portal, easy. Not even close.
I might not class them. Mine was the volcanic red one, which I would say is probably correct. It might not class the portal in that one, but I get where you're coming from. We'll put a pin in that one. I think we'll save that till next week, just in case. Yeah. Again, traditionally, I think the whole games industry tends to wind down now after the Game Awards. They have the celebration, and then they all go, nothing's coming out until end of January, February. So it's going to be a quiet couple of months, but we'll look ahead to what's coming in 2026 in our Game of the Year discussion. But yes, Game Award episode. We can't get into it until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news.
The news. And as always, the news is brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic members of the channel who support us that extra little bit further, just like you can from as little as 99p. You get early access to this episode. Other episodes and other shows and series we get going, such as Pokemon and the PlayStation Retro Hunt. The second episode is up now for that one, Rugrats, Search for Reptar. And I've got one more in the bag, which is a surprise. And I've got two more that are on the editing block studios. There's about 5 episodes total, spanning across probably through into January, so keep your eyes peeled for them. There's some interesting finds in there. I found a game, actually. It's I guess a future forecasting one for you. I was on the hunt for one PlayStation game, and then I found during the search that there was a sequel that I didn't even know existed.
Oh, okay.
So it was one of them where I was like, that's a thing. And when the episode releases, you'll find out. But it was quite an interesting way to look around, and I'll probably get that episode up specifically for Christmas because it's intrinsically tied in to the festive season and a bunch of Christmas movies, I should say. So, Richie, Game Awards.
Yes,
they've happened. I watched the whole thing, of course. We got copyright struck on the whole thing, of course, which always happens.
Another problem for every year, even though we were official co-streamers.
We were, official co-streamers for the 6th year in a row, so it's nice to see us being recognised in some degree. Pre-show kind of kicked off as per usual. The way we'll probably run through this is we will miss some games. Hold our hands up now, as we don't have time to go through everything. We don't have the interest to go through everything. There's a ton of Zenless Zone Zero stuff that was in there, sprinkled in. There was your typical Genshin Impact stuff. Hoyoverse, that, let's face it, it's not for you, our audience. It's not for us. There's probably a million and one other streamers and podcasters talking about that. So we'll focus on what interests us. Do let us know in the comments if we do miss anything and you think it would be up our street or it needs maybe a bit more of a spotlight. Do let us know down below and we'll try and pick it up on future episodes or when the launch comes about or we see more marketing for it ahead of time. They kick things off. Signe Goodman, as always, doing a wonderful job kind of pre-presenting in a way. And they showed us a little tease for a couple of indie titles in particular. But one stood out for me, which I want to kickstart off the kind of the Game Awards breakdown, Richie. And that was a game called Bradley the Badger. And this was the one that I've seen loads of people just say, this should have just been in the main show. So Bradley the Badger, had to say that, is a platforming icon, apparently. He finds himself lost. So it's got a bit of like meta worlds within worlds. He finds himself lost in strange new lands and decides to fight back, shape unfinished worlds with your game developer powers, explore genre-bending stories, and save your home in a unique action-adventure. Wishlists are available on Steam now. It's kind of like a love letter to video games. There's lots of tongue-in-cheek, almost like Deadpool-esque comedy where you're exploring around in worlds that either aren't finished yet. They represent a lot of copycat stuff from other games, so there's little nods to... it's
straight up parodies a lot of well-known games.
It really, really does, but it had really good levels of kind of humour sprinkled to it. It kind of referenced so much stuff. There's lots of little Easter eggs scattered throughout. Voiced by Evan Peters as well. So Quicksilver from the X-Men movies.
Did you know he was in The Office?
The UK one or the American one?
No, the American one.
No, I can't picture him. He must have been quite young, wasn't he?
Yeah, he plays... I think he's only in like one episode, but he plays Michael's nephew.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, have you ever seen the clip of like Michael spanking like a young employee?
No. I probably have, but no, it doesn't come to my head.
Yeah, it's Evan Peters.
Wow, how far he's come.
I've been watching it and like, that's Evan Peters.
How far he's come to when he played Boner in WandaVision. But yeah, so the game essentially is a 3D platformer, but it looks like it gives you like almost like powers that don't seem too absent from the Dreams PlayStation game, where you can kind of warp and change the world. And it's one of them funny things where, because you're essentially living within the game and you're conscious of being in the game, stuff isn't finished. So there's like textures that don't have patterns and colors on yet, and you can kind of tweak and evolve and manipulate the world, turn gravity off, change settings, but this just like colourful Marty McFly dressed badger, and the comedy in it was just really good. And for an indie game, it was one of those that I think it really just set the hype levels of like, wow, if this is the pre-show, get ready for the main show.
Take. I think it's a really cool take on the puzzle platform. It's got all the elements you kind of expect, all the different biomes, different like color palettes and stuff to keep things visually interesting. You got a cute, fluffy character that you play as, but then it's got its own unique twist that makes it like stand out. So you're not just running through a world collecting stuff; it's the way you interact with the world that is key. Yeah,
it seems really interesting, and it's one of those where, in a world where Crash Bandicoot came back. Spyro's came back. Gex had his resurgence. We got a Croc Enter the Gobos re-release this year. Having
Astro
a brand new one. Yeah, absolutely.
Another era of dominance for the puzzle platformer.
I think we should. The platformer mascot as well. Yeah. This is, again, it'll be great on all platforms, but I feel like it's definitely a Switch game because of the platforming nature of that one.
Visually, I think it looks good enough. I could see it on all platforms. I wouldn't prioritize it over one platform or the other, to be honest.
Was there anything else from the pre-show They showed off a couple. There was a free Shepherd game, which was like an indie developer.
Which was, I thought, which looked like a fun, cozy game, but a weird one to start on.
It was, yeah, I think it was, you have like a border collie dog and you're basically shepherding sheep around as like a puzzle, I guess, figure out how to get them. I'm sure there's like deeper story to it, but that's what the Kickstarter the whole show off with.
Yeah, we got another trailer for Pragmata, which continues to look like a fantastic game.
Yep. There was a one for Stupid Never Dies, which was like basically emo zombies, and it with like a Avril Lavigne soundtrack, which looked a bit like Devil May Cry. But
yeah, I didn't read. To be honest, it didn't grip me at all. That
no, it was basically like a 3-minute music video, and then they went into the gameplay, and it just looked like combat. But I thought the music video approach kind of like by the time they finished their 3-minute music video, I'd lost all interest in what they were trying to showcase to me.
That's one where I was watching it while I was at work. I just stopped paying attention.
Zoned out. Yeah. So they had the half an hour pre-show as usual. Then Jeff Keighley took to the stage to talk about the kind of the world of games and how they embody really passionate speech. We know he lost his dad a few months back, which he mentioned, and I didn't realize he lost his house in the LA fires last year as well. So he was saying he'd had quite a tough year and he'd lost his dad and he'd lost his home essentially. And he said the Game Awards had allowed him to kind of like really focus on this like one thing to put all his energy and his drive into. So it was quite an emotional start to the show, once again, kind of embodying what's great about gaming and the developers and everyone in the room there, like all of the things that they bring to the table and escapism. And when life gets a bit tough, games kind of really just do give you that opportunity to just jump into some fantasy world, something different, and have fun, essentially, which is the best part about it. And then, yeah, we kickstart things off with Star Wars Fates of the Old Republic. Reading from the blog, so this is, before we get into the initial, this is a sequel to the Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. We do know that there is a Knights of the Old Republic remake in the work in partnership with PlayStation. It was Aspyr, but I feel like they got pulled from it. I feel like we covered it on the show where they actually got pulled off the project and they handed it over to, I want to say Saber Interactive kind of took the mantle. Maybe it's something with an Embracer basically, where it's going to be a while. So it's nice to see that actually we're just going to get a new entry. Absolutely popped off this one. In reading from the blog, it says the fate of the galaxy is in your hands in a narrative-driven action RPG. So interesting, they're leaning more into action RPGs again, because Old Republic wasn't traditionally as action-heavy. Where you step into the role of a Force user, unnamed, on a journey through a galaxy on the edge of rebirth, blending innovative storytelling, memorable characters, and heart-pounding combat. Star Wars: Fates of the Old Republic immerses you in an unforgettable experience where every decision deepens your journey towards light or darkness. And one of the other big pop-offs this one is not only did they kind of tease it quite well, is Casey Hudson is back, who's the director of the original. He also worked on the Mass Effect series, and he's basically renowned for his kind of storytelling thread beats of like characters, races. If you've ever played Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic, you'll kind of know that special sauce that he seems to have with his games. He also worked on Anthem though, so maybe take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, but that might not be his fault. That
Absolutely.
might be a studio decision, because to make like a looter shooter games as a style game from a studio that's typically focused on narrative driven, moral focused action RPGs. It just, I don't know. It just felt like a weird fit.
Didn't really give us much. Stunning visuals, as expected. I kind of clocked onto it being Star Wars just from the aesthetics. There was a few like musical notes. There was a few sound effects on the ship design that were like, my ears were like, that's Star Wars, like absolutely Star Wars through and through.
It was like, there was a scene when like a ramp goes down. That's the noise from Star Wars. Yeah. This is a Star Wars game.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if the droid was similar to like K2SO from Rogue One, but then with it being Knights of the Old Republic, it predates it by like 1,000 odd years, right?
When I started watching the trailer, truthfully, I thought this was going to be the Knights of the Old Republic remake, because I've not actually played Knights of the Old Republic.
Same.
So I was like, I don't have enough context to be able to spot and go, no, that's not it. So, but I was kind of right, because right franchise.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. We said, but the remake was kind of on my radar because I'd never played KOTOR before. I wanted to go back and experience it, and I had nothing but good things. But it is a dated game. I think if you go back with nostalgia, it helps out. But if you go back having never played it, it's a tougher one to get into. It's quite clunky in some regards, and the storytelling, pick your own decisions, it doesn't flow as smoothly as probably it would in a modern sense. So yeah, to pull out the old director and go, you know what, we're just going to go ahead with a sequel. I think that's probably the best thing for all parties. And then hopefully Aspire and the guys over at Embracer can get the fingers out and actually get out the remake perfectly timed, maybe 6 months ahead of this. That would be great.
My biggest hope for this game is actually that they make it in a way where this becomes a nice jumping on point for the series.
Yeah.
So although this is like the third game in the series, there's been such a big gap. Like, let's make this a new start point, so you don't have to have played the others. The game will do all the lifting for you. But if you're a long-time fan, you probably get more from it. That's the particular needle that they need to thread. Absolutely.
And Casey's kind of new studio is it Arcanaut? It's pronounced Arcanaut.
I think so, yeah.
This will be their first game, so it's kind of that you'd imagine he's going to pull on industry veterans, people he's worked with before. I wouldn't be surprised if after the kind of disappointment of Dragon Age Veilguard, he probably could pull on a lot of people from BioWare to come over, because they're getting nothing but shit at the moment. They're working on the next Mass Effect, but with his kind of pedigree and then working on an IP such as Star Wars, he was quoted as saying an all-new story crafted specifically to deliver a combination of player agency and immersion in Star Wars was at the heart of KOTOR, and he's excited to come back to the franchise. So, and he's always stayed in touch with Lucasfilm. So, again, roughly, if you were to put a timestamp on it, my guess would be this is going to be a good 5 years away. If that, if you're getting it's such a small tease, you can never really get anything from that.
Yeah, this trailer isn't for us gamers. This trailer is for investors to go, this is what we're working on. So, come on.
I mean, when was the Knights of the Old Republic
I want to say
remake trailer?
2000 and... I thought you were going to go with the originals.
No, the remake when they teased that at... can't remember what event.
2018, maybe?
4 years ago. September 2021. So it's been 4 years since we got the Old Republic tease, which just showed off on the teaser trailer. It showed Sony, so this was in partnership with PlayStation, which was the weird irony of that the original launched on the Xbox. Lucasfilm, they showed Aspire's logo, and then they had like kind of a mask shadow. I think it was Raven came out of the dark. Darth Raven came out of the shadows, and then it just went bang, there's the logo. A Legend remade for PS5. And then we've had nothing but problems since. So I feel like I just hope this isn't the same thing where we get a trailer for, I guess we call it FOTOR?
Yeah.
For FOTOR. And I hope we don't have to wait as long, because,
Yeah,
I've probably get an
article that's... Yeah, I saw a screen article that was suggesting rumours that KOTOR would be at the Game Awards. I'm guessing what the head was actually Fate of the Old Republic.
Yeah, most likely. And kind of a nice double bluff to kind of throw people off a little bit. But yeah, I wonder, do you think we'll see the third entry in the Jedi Fallen Survivor series probably well before this comes out? Kind of round out that trilogy? There's a few people who thought that's what it was.
I'd say so. I'd say so, because EA, they've got two in the bag now. They know what them games are. They know how to make them. Mm-hmm. So they've probably improved a lot in terms of their production process from the first game going into the third. It depends if they got the story there, really. Yeah,
very true. Very true.
Yeah, but I'd expect Jedi 3 before KOTOR.
Yeah, I would too. So that was kind of like the big kickoff event that really just started it all, and then the went of it theatrical in the theater. They had a bunch of actors come out dressed in kind of like medieval fair kind of clothes. Music was playing. Some of them then suddenly got like raptured up into the air on wires. Played into this trailer where there was a bunch of people kind of going towards this, I guess, ritualistic sacrifice was going on, and it turned out, Richie, that this was Divinity, Larian's new game. So the Baldur's Gate studio, they said they were always going to move on. Famed for the Divinity, or is it Divinity Original Sin or just Divinity Sin? Is that the name of the two previous
Divinity
games?
Original Sin is definitely a game. I think Divinity is the franchise. So there's
Yeah.
Divine that I have on my Steam list. There's Divine Divinity, Divinity 2, Divinity Original Sin 2. So I'm
Right.
guessing there's a 1.
One somewhere.
So yes.
Divinity. So they've kind of like boiled all that down to they pardon me, they said they weren't going to do another Baldur's Gate. They wanted to split off. So they've kind of doubled down and focusing, almost like in a way they're rebooting, I think. Everything they learned and all the success they garnered from Baldur's Gate, I think they're putting all their eggs into the basket of going like, right, let's kind of relaunch our own franchise now that's not tied to D&D, and let's do it. And they launched with like a weirdly sadistic video. There was parts during it when you see the kind of the torture scene of the guy being set on fire on the pyre. And it's kind of it's tough viewing. Like, I'm not one to like scared away from violence or blood or anything, but there was parts where there was people having sex in front of the fire. This guy's skin was being ripped off. There was pigs eating vomit on the floor, and it was a bit overwhelming.
There's a full on like kind of carnival party atmosphere while some dudes getting set on fire.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Quite sick, really.
It looks visually stunning. Like some of the way the flesh gets peeled off his skin is like some of the best animation I've seen on that. But it all kind of came together, and it made me feel quite unsettled. But I guess that's maybe what they were going for.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And what are you expecting then from this? So that there's very vague details. There's no like blog posts from Larian. I think they were more going for the big tease. And we should point out as well the statue that Jeff Keighley was teasing in the desert. It was the Hellstone, which is kind of what is left at the end of this trailer when you apparently set a demon on fire and everyone flees from death under the eclipse. This is what you get, a Hellstone formed. What are you expecting? Are you thinking just more Baldur's Gate, pardon me, style?
Yeah, probably similar. Obviously, but set in the Divinity universe, so it's a bit less. So they have a bit more control over the Divinity universe than they do, obviously, Baldur's Gate, with Baldur's Gate being a franchise that they've licensed. But I imagine mechanically there'll be a lot similar. What was the other game that they're well known for? The one they did before Baldur's Gate? I always forget the name of it. I wouldn't care. I've played the bloody thing.
Baldur's Gate 2?
No, it wasn't. But Larian didn't do Baldur's Gate 2.
No. I'm not sure. But yeah, again, it's one of those where Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year 2 years ago, 2023. So you've got to think development cycle, they've supported the game, they've got this one off the ground. I think this is another timeline very similar to Fates of the Old Republic, where it's very much a tease. And for this, I'm sure didn't Baldur's Gate take them 10 years nearly? And they were praised for like taking their time and getting in it. It ended up paying off in the end. So I think this kind of Divinity reboot world we live in, I think you might be waiting quite a while for this too. Don't get me wrong, it's probably going to be hype as shit when it comes around.
They've also had a few years already, so hopefully it wouldn't be too long.
Yeah, fingers crossed. There is also a Divinity game, just a game called Divinity on Steam, a puzzle game that's not tied to this series at all, so they've got some copyright people to pay off ahead of that game going on the Steam storefront as well. So that's that. Larian's new game. So two massive titles in theory to kickstart the event. And we'll get into the game. This is where I think it starts to maybe like take a little bit of its first dip. They had J.J. Abrams come out on stage and talk about his new production game Four Loop, which we've seen before because it was announced in a blog post about 2 weeks ago, I want to say, where they've partnered specifically with Sony PlayStation with Bad Robot Games, and they announced Four Loop, titled the number 4 dash loop, a 4-player co-op shooter experience set in an original sci-fi universe. Our teams are thrilled to finally show what we've been working on, and you can catch a first glimpse of gameplay in the trailer. They brought Mike Booth on, who was the original director on Left 4 Dead. So he's kind of back to talk about like the design influence and the theming behind it. The game appears to have some kind of roguelike elements, which inspired his approach using what he knows from Left 4 Dead. And then ultimately the whole principle of the game was kind of if you die, you get reprinted and you get to remake your choices. That's where the roguelike element comes into it. New equipment, unique kits, survive boss fights to get to the end of the act. As the team completes all 3 acts, they defeat the mothership and save the world. And then it kind of goes into that. This was my first one from the Game Awards where I was like, eh.
I think it's an interesting concept, and although I'm not really a fan of roguelites and I'm not huge into co-op games anymore, but I can't think of another roguelite that is ultimately a co-op game. This is a 4-player game, 4-player third-person shooter that is also a roguelite. So that's going to be, I think, could be quite an interesting experience if that's the kind of genre you're into. Especially with the way they have the branching paths that you can take throughout the game. So there's something in there. But I think it's getting such a quick high billing, to be honest, at the moment. I think because of the fact that it is from Mike Booth and J.J. Abrams is attached.
Yeah, they've definitely.
If you remove these two people and put the same game up, it's in there. We're probably still talking about it, but it's in the middle of the show. They're like the dead section.
Yeah, this was the first one for me where we'd seen a good couple of indie games. We'd seen massive Star Wars titles, Larian's thing. And this one ended up just being looking very generic. Like, there's a sprinkle of sci-fi. There's a sprinkle of kind of every shooter we've seen so far. And yeah, it had like an okay premise to me. But like you said, if you took the two kind of elements of celebrity away from it and the partnership with PlayStation...
Yeah.
Would it, like, I think I actually said during the live stream as everything I'm seeing here, I would rather go play Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders has a better looking art style. It's got a cooler premise. It looks like it plays smoother, albeit that's all released now, so it's a bit unfair to compare one for one. But you know when sometimes you see this generic looking stuff and then there's one or two little bits that elevate it in your brain to go, actually, you know what, this is doing something a little bit different. This just sat in that lane for me of, I've seen this before and it didn't interest me the last 10 times I've seen something like this. Yeah,
for me, this is very much in the category. If you're the sort of person who loves things like Left 4 Dead or World War Z, them kind of games, Strange Brigade, that kind of genre of games, you and 3 of your friends sit down, you play through the story, some comic beats and stuff. This, I think, is an interesting take on that genre.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it looked good, all things considered, for what it's doing, but I think they're going to need to show off a lot more, specifically for that one. We then moved on to a couple of little indie games got on there. There was one with an old lady with chicken feet, walking around with some kind of dinosaur. That was from ex-Naughty Dog developers. So, nice little nod throw to that one. We got a sequel to Somo, which was Ontos. Which again looked like a sci-fi one. South of Midnight won an award, and I wanted to give them a special shout out because I feel like they were kind of shafted from the whole awards ceremony. I was even listening to an Xbox podcast this week, and even in their like top 5 games of the year, they labelled 4 games that weren't Xbox exclusives, and totally blank South of Midnight. It did win for music, I believe.
Was it music or was it Impact?
Oh, it might have been Impact, actually. But either way, they got up on stage and they...
It definitely was music. That was obscure.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And forgive me, it was 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was trying to make show notes at the same time, trying to save time, but then getting distracted by stuff happening. South of Midnight was announced for PlayStation 5 coming in the spring. And Nintendo Switch 2 as well. So it made me happy because I finished it on Xbox, but I would definitely play it again and go for the Platinum, if that's the case.
Yeah, truthfully, do you think this might sound a bit harsh, but do you think it suffered because it was locked on Xbox? Being the weaker of the 3 main console
Not necessarily.
platforms?
I think Xbox maybe done themselves a disservice because it came out within maybe a week or a few days of Oblivion remaster.
Yeah, I did.
And I think it hit
Oblivion
that.
was a shadow drop as well.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I feel like all the oxygen in marketing was taken out by, here's a massive remake of a beloved game on Game Pass for free as well, kind of undermining the launch of a new IP from a smaller studio. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the music was fantastic. I thought the story was great. The characters, the combat was fun. And it was definitely unique and different from anything I've played in the last couple of years. So it was up there for me. It's going to be in my Game of the Year discussion when we get to that. So seeing it have a PS5 port, it's one of those of like, this is what I'll happily take from Xbox. I'll play it on Xbox Game Pass for next to nothing. And then if I love it that much, I'll kind of like, I guess, pay homage to them by buying it on PlayStation, getting in a Platinum, and they'll get two hits of cash out of me. So good for them. But yeah, good for Compulsion. I do hope we see a sequel. Moving on, we got Resident Evil Requiem. Kind of showed off the leaked rumors online that was Leon Kennedy is back.
Yeah.
Requiem obviously releases in February, so it's basically the first big AAA game of the year. And we knew they were going to be here. Leon, the protagonist, they talked about the story being dual protagonists. They're going to tell the main story of the girl. I forgot the girl's name, and actually it's eluding me all of a sudden.
I know, it's eluding me. Oh, God. What was the name? Keep talking, I'll find it.
Yeah, so it's going to follow her story of narrative, and then Leon's going to basically take on the action-heavy side of
Grace
the game.
Ashcroft.
Grace, that's it. I wanted to say Molly for some reason.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting way of doing this, actually, because Resident Evils, since the dawn of Resident Evil, have had usually 2 playthroughs as different characters. You had, in the first one, I think you had Jill and Chris, who took two different routes throughout the mansion, got different weapons, different stuff, had different challenges to face. This is an interesting take on the concept where Leon's been associated, I think, in recent years with the more action side of the Resident Evil games, starting from, say, Resident Evil 4. But to bring in a new character with Grace Ashcroft, which isn't going to be like a combat powerhouse, and go really into the more survival horror roots that they re-explored with Resident Evil 7. I think it's a nice blend of the two, actually.
Yeah, I think it's going to make for an interesting story beat of, when we've talked about horror games before, you need that bit of levity. Like, you can't be scared and running and defenseless all the time. You need to mix it up a bit. I think the story beats are going to play well with her in the big houses, the big mansions, basically running away, unable to do anything.
So,
and then to raise it, you're going to have Leon.
Them,
yeah.
Or do you think you'll play as one and then play as the other?
I think the way they've positioned it, I think the story's going to jump around and you're going to spend time playing as both of them.
I think it might go the other way. I think because traditionally, I think you might play through as Grace, then come back and play through as Leon, with their paths overlapping at certain points in the story.
Yeah, like RE2, essentially, you can play.
Yeah, like RE1 and RE2, and.
But
so
we're back
interesting.
We're back to Raccoon City. Graphically, it looks great, of course. Coming out at a traditionally quiet time of the year. But yeah, Leon's back. He looks gruff. There's zombies with chainsaws. We're back in Raccoon City. So it's got enough nostalgia sprinkled in for old and new. But yeah, it looks great.
I like to see Resident Evil back in Raccoon City and back to actual zombies.
Well, yeah, we've gone
back to its roots a bit.
We've had the goopy people, haven't we, for a couple of games now? What was it called? The very hard to pronounce name. That's why I can't.
Mycelia something. Yeah.
Use like a mycelial network, mice or something. But either way, we're back in Raccoon City for RE9, and it's got a good bit of energy behind it, I think. Does Requiem. So interested to see how this one all pans out. They then moved on during the Game Awards show to show a bit more of the Exodus game, which we've seen at last year's show with Matthew McConaughey. He didn't come out this time, but you had a little bit of his voiceover. And looks quite good, Exodus. I know we chatted about it briefly on last week's show, and we couldn't remember for shit what it was actually about. It was like a mix between Dead Space, mixed with a couple of other things, but it had quite a good showing. They said 2027, so it's quite a little whiles off yet, so we won't see it before long. But they did show off another game back to back. So Kepler Games seemingly had like 4 or 5 things to show off at this one. But one of them was from Wizards of the Coast, which is also Exodus. They showed off from a new studio Invoke working on another Dungeons & Dragons game, Warlock, which apparently has been a D&D thing for quite some time. That's going to be coming in 2027. Did you have a chance to have a look at anything Warlock related?
It's only all we got is a CGI trailer, and I'm not familiar with the franchise. So it's D&D games are usually quite good. Look at Baldur's Gate, for example.
Yeah.
So it does have some big boots to follow.
It's got an interesting.
I think we need to see the gameplay really.
Yeah, it very much was a CGI trailer. What vibe I'm getting from D&D at the moment, having not really ever played it and only like seen it through video games, is I feel like it's having this, not renaissance, but like a surgence of popularity in just main culture, similar in a way to Warhammer and Space Marines is, where it almost D&D
tabletop games,
seems like poised to be like the next big thing in TV and movies. And I feel like we had the Dungeons and Dragon movie like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, which
it was a great movie.
I haven't seen it, but
I enjoyed
I haven't
it.
seen it, but I thought it reviewed just okay.
Yeah, it didn't do numbers, but it had that kind of popularity behind it. And then I think Baldur's Gate, as you said, kind of elevated it to
Larry
Game
brought
of the
Baldur's
Year.
Gate back. D&D is quite prevalent in Stranger Things.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably partially because of that. But then I think all tied in with that kind of resurgence that we're seeing with Space Marine 3 and a game we're going to talk about later on. It seems like they're lining their ducks up quite well to basically throw as much of their franchises at it as possible. And I think Warlock seemingly is something that D&D players are familiar with, and they're very keen on it.
Oddly enough, I wonder if getting this game potentially greenlit because of the success of Baldur's Gate 3. So Baldur's Gate 3 just sweeps the Game Awards a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Now all the publishers go, we want a bit of that pie, and now are less reluctant to say to fund these games.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can happen.
It can. Speaking of funding games, we also had Remedy show up. We knew they were going to be here in some form because Jeff Keighley's best mates with the folks over at Remedy. Reading from their blog post, we had it confirmed after a ESRB rating leak a couple of weeks back that Control's sequel is coming soon enough in in 2026. It's going to be called Control Resonant, which we knew, and reading from the blog post, they say Remedy expands the world of Control with a larger, more open adventure that welcomes newcomers and returning fans alike. They're happy to announce Control Resonant, the next entry in the award-winning Control universe. Co-financed, co-produced by Annapurna Pictures. It expands the series, said that part already. Players take on the role of Dylan Faden, which, if you've played Control the first one, you'll know is the brother of Jesse Faden, the protagonist from the original, deployed by the Federal Bureau of Control at the height of reality-bending cosmic crisis, wielding new abilities and a shape-shifting melee weapon known as the Aberrant. Dylan must confront escalating supernatural threats while searching for his sister, director of the FBC, Jesse Faden. Designed as both a sequel and a new entry point, Control Resonant elevates the series' signature action, atmosphere, and mystery into its most ambitious scale yet. Thoughts, Richie, on this one?
An interesting take for effectively sequel to Control, by move it away from being a shooter to more melee combat focused is an interesting take. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, I thought it looked great.
I need to play Control.
Have you not played Control still?
I've played bits of it. It just didn't grip me when I played it, though. I don't know what it was.
Good. It's so good.
I can't put my finger on why it didn't grip me, because it should.
Yeah, so obviously the first game takes
place. I need to play
place.
Control on the run up to this.
You do, you really do. Especially now it's got like PS5 versions and like all patched to shit, and it's like it's on everything. The first one takes place inside the FBC, which is the kind of office you see at some point in the trailer, where the doors open and like kind of blood and bodies are sprinkled everywhere. So it looks like whatever happened within the original game of Control, you fought these ethereal enemies called the Hiss, which are kind of like floating bodies in like kind of a red world, and they seemingly have escaped out into the real world. So the first game is quite a controlled game, where similar to Resident Evil, you're kind of going through different layers of the FBC offices, and some rooms have like basically events that happen, supernatural. It's basically, think of everything from like ghosts to goblins to teapots multiplying to sentient fridge freezers. Basically, any trippy shit you can think of, the FBC basically is the Men in Black of this world. They go about and see it. The first one has a weapon, a gun in it that basically can morph into other guns. So you've got one weapon and it changes into like a rifle, an energy blast gun, a shield. That's kind of the premise of the game, is you have multiple cool weapons to play with. This one, as you said, seemingly has dropped a few of those things. They've gone a bit more open adventure. You've got a sword that seemingly can evolve into probably a hammer, a spear, a shield. So the combat's going to be changed differently. Switch of the protagonists, which again is daring. Drop the number, so there's no sequelized number 2 at the end. It does take place in the Alan Wake universe. It's all connected. So the FBC are in Alan Wake 2, and I think from playing Alan Wake 2 and absolutely adoring that, in loving Control, it's kind of like a full circle moment where everything is in the Remedy connected universe. It looks great, the combat looks fun, and more importantly, coming out next year. So you'll be playing this at some point, probably before September, I would guess, before GTA. Looks great, can't wait. Definitely looks better than FBC Firebreak.
Yeah, I have already installed Control on my PlayStation 5.
As of like right now, or?
No, I'd already done it before.
All right.
I just that's what I was doing on my phone. I just checking if I had. I do need to play Control. Control may be up next after Octopath.
Nat's played it, right? She got the platinum?
I don't know if she's got the platinum, but I'm sure she'll tell me because she's listening in the kitchen.
I'm sure
she has messaged me saying Control is awesome and said bless you when I sneezed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Control is awesome. So yeah, if she's played it, she'll fully get it, and that's why you both need to play Alan Wake 2 as well. But I digress. So coming 2026. It's nice to see Remedy back and making some more games. We then got from a new studio, so there was a kind of like a bombshell trailer. One of the guys who worked on the Yakuza series. He's basically broke off and started his own studio. He made a title called Gang of Dragon, which we got. I'm just going to get the trailer up, and they didn't really tell us much of it. We don't really know what it is, but the trailer in 2 minutes alone had me sold on it. The protagonist looks, I don't know if it's the same actor, but he looks like the guy who plays Wong in the Doctor Strange movies.
Well, the actor is Ma Dong-seok. My Korean isn't very good or existing at all.
Your Korean's not very good, non-existent. But yeah, in terms of this one, they showed up basically a clip of presumably an ex-Yakuza guy or someone having a fight, ends up in a bar fight. We don't know anything about this yet. I thought at one point it may have been a sequel to Sleeping Dogs, but then they'd kind of premised it with this guy's first game, essentially, so it's going to be like an indie studio game out of Japan. But it's one of them hard things to tell. Like we've talked about Expedition being so good for an indie game. This looks great. The humor seems on point. The combat looks good if it is that type of combat. It was very much just like in-engine cinematics, but it set a really good premise, especially because like Yakuza and Like a Dragon games are so popular. I just like looking at a protagonist who wasn't your typical. He's a bit of a heavier set guy, playing it chill, casual, packs a punch.
I mean, he is an Eternal.
That's where I recognise him from, right? So it's not Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
There's something in my head was going, it's Marvel. Yeah, now you've said it, I'm like, yeah, actually, I can see that. Thoughts on this one?
Premise seems cool, but again, like any CGI trailer, I'm always left feeling, yes, okay, the premise is cool. What's the game?
Yeah. I'm guessing it's set in the 90s because he has a flip phone.
Yeah, I'm getting that kind of 90s vibe. I imagine it's going to be an RPG similar to the Like a Dragon franchise, which, to be honest, I truthfully, when I saw this, I dismissed it a bit because I thought, oh, he's another game in the Like a Dragon franchise. And there's millions of them. They come out, they get at least 1 or 2 a year. And it's like, all right, here we go again. Kind of thoughts. Knowing that it's not related is like, okay, it piques my interest a bit more.
Yeah, still
nothing necessarily wrong with them games. It's just they come out too quickly, so you never get actual good jumping on point.
Yeah, still need that. There's not really much to write home about it. They don't really have a website set up or anything else. But yeah, they have to have Dragon in the title. They just have to. It's like the one way you can say, I think, Yakuza without saying Yakuza legally. But yeah, it was an interesting premise to start off with.
And I can confirm Nat has the Platinum and Control and played the DLCs.
Oh, the DLC is good. Well, the DLC ties in with Alan Wake 2, which is why you'll both like Alan Wake 2. Next up, we have the Street Fighter cast all got on stage, throwed some punches, ironically, at the cast of the Mortal Kombat movie. They talked about the upcoming Street Fighter movie. They did it like a WWE entrance. All of them came out. We then got a date for Lego Batman coming on 29th of May. Is that one that's on your radar? I know the Lego games, you kind of have an on-off relationship with them.
Well, this is the legacy of the Dark Knight. This is like the Arkham series is made of Lego. So yeah, it's on my radar. But we'll see. We'll see when May comes.
See when May comes. Oh, what?
This might be a birthday present for Nat.
What's that?
Well, it comes out the 29th of May. A birthday the 30th.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. That's fair. And I guess we don't need to linger on that anymore. We've seen what it is.
It's cool.
It is cool. The next one we got was a double whammy hit of 2 games. Tomb Raider Catalyst and Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. Tomb Raider, I joked about at the beginning of the whole thing. This one kind of caught me off guard. We knew it was coming. because they kind of spoke about it ahead of the show time. So we knew there was going to be a Tomb Raider announcement. There was a little bit of a leak just ahead of the show, but I made a point of, right, I'm not going to look at it. I don't need to read about it because I'm literally about to sit down and watch the show in like 2-3 hours. So I won't even bother spending my time looking into it. They revealed it in a 2-part 2 hit. So they showed off, I'll read from the blog initially about it. So they showed off Tomb Raider Catalyst, developed by Crystal Dynamics, marks a bold new direction for the series of Lara Croft, embarking on a new adventure across northern India. Catalyst is set in the wake of the mythical cataclysm that has unleashed ancient secrets and awakened mysterious forces that guard them. When the most notorious treasure hunters from around the world descend on the region, Lara races to uncover the truth buried beneath the fractured landscapes and stop those who would use its power for their own gain. As the ancient world collides with the present, Lara must decide who to trust among rivals and allies to prevent a catastrophe and protect a secret that could reshape the future. Using Unreal Engine 5, the Catalyst delivers the largest Tomb Raider world yet, where Lara will traverse a landscape full of secrets, delve into lost tombs, packed with intricate puzzles, solve ancient mysteries using her unmatched brilliance and richly customized adventure tech. More on that in a bit. Perfect for long-time fans and newcomers alike, players will experience this exhilarating story of trust and betrayal that tests Lara Croft in new ways. Set to launch in 2027. Catalyst, a few things they showed off. They mentioned there in the trailer the tech element. She has some kind of Spider-Man grapple hook now, which I'm guessing is going to lean into maybe some more Uncharted 4-esque traversal, a bit more verticality out of it.
I think did she have a grapple hook? Just like normal ones in like
she had
Shadow
the kind of the rock climbing piton
she had
tools.
She had the rope ascender as well, didn't she?
Yeah, and you obviously use your bow to fire across and then make a rope bridge. CGI trailer showed it off. I think you and me have an odd relationship now with Tomb Raider because we're both big advocates of the reboot trilogy from 2013. And then, for me, when I saw that they changed her appearance a little bit, it kind of bugged me because she looks very Fortnite-y.
I think she looks more like classic Lara Croft than the remake Lara Croft.
Well, see, I don't think she looks like the classic one either. I think I put out on Twitter that actually, you know what she reminds me of? Cheryl Cole. There's a weird likeness to Cheryl Cole in her facial kind of structure. But at the same time, her head, again, without getting too granular into it, her head seems close to like the Fortnite character design that we've seen of her. And there's something about we'll get into it more specifically in a bit, because I think there's one particular part where they show the kind of the reveal of who she is.
They have recast her though.
Yeah, it's not Camilla Luddington anymore.
Yeah, it's Alex Wilton Reagan, that's
such a British name as well.
It is, yeah. So it's possible like the facial stuff is to better match Alex. It's Alex, Alix.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets me specifically in the trailer, if you pause it on like the kind of reveal of her where she's got the two pistols, the texture on her skin and her outfit is very flat. There's almost like little fabric detail on her outfit. Her arm is basically just one shade of skin colour all the way down. I know what you mean. It does look quite reduced. Flat's quite the right word. Bear in mind with the reboot trilogy, they really pushed hard the graphical quality. The hair animation in that first reboot game was unprecedented. They set a new standard. Yeah, it was terrific. Yeah. And I think that's where it feels a little bit of an odd 1-2 punch. So we've said for years now that the 2013 reboot trilogy holds up phenomenally well for a game that's essentially coming up 13 years old. So much so it just got a release on the Switch 2 last week, like so recent. So it's still in the kind of conversation. But yeah, part of me feels like that Lara should have got like a last game, like a send-off. She kind of got that unofficial. Was it Rise of a Shadow? Rise was the last one, right? That was made by the Adios Montreal, so it wasn't made by Crystal Dynamics, so it kind of wasn't the true end to the trilogy for me. Yeah, I feel unfortunately, Shadow's the last one. I always got them mixed up. Unfortunately, I feel this might be an Embracer Group thing, because the last trilogy, while it's still Crystal Dynamics, were owned by Square Enix. Yeah, they were. Since it went to the Embracer Group, it might be a budgetary thing. Well, that might be why the visuals are just so reduced, because it's like... That's what I mean. It's like, it doesn't look bad. No, it doesn't look as good
Yeah.
Which is wild. But you know what? The biggest thing I've seen online, and rightly so, because going full circle, people comparing stuff in the trailer to Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is 10 years old.
Yeah.
It looks better. The visuals on Nate, his skin and his texture and his clothes and everything, and the visuals in the world, they look better from a 10-year-old game.
Yeah, but truthfully, though, although I agree, the visuals look better. I think from what we've seen, the visuals look better in like the first of the Tomb Raider reboots than this.
Yeah.
If the gameplay is good enough,
yeah,
you'll forget in 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's still 2 years out, and I'll be buying it regardless. I'm a Tomb Raider fan through and through, so I'll be all over that. But then the flip side of this story is they hit us with a 1-2 punch, and the narration that was happening from Lara says, she goes on to say, like, oh, I remember back to years gone by, and she kind of narrates an introduction to the next game, which was the original chapter in Lara's story, which was the first game, Tomb Raider, back in 1996. They've retitled it Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, and this is going to capture the wonder and excitement of Lara's debut adventure from the PlayStation 1, re-envisioned with modern gameplay, modern visuals, and storytelling, developed in partnership with Crystal Dynamics and Flying Wild Hog. So those are the folks who did, what was that Wild West game that I really loved? I got the platinum for. Was it Dead West? I think it was called Dead West.
Maybe,
Wild Dead West, something like that. They're the folks who did that, so I'm happy to see as a studio they've got another big project. Game features stunning visuals powered by Unreal 5, modern game design, new surprises that will honour the spirit and atmosphere of the original game. As Lara Croft, players will harness their wits and athleticism to explore exotic locations lost to time, traverse treacherous landscapes, solve deadly contraptions, and face lethal predators, because there was dinosaurs in the first game, scattered for the pieces of Scion, an artifact of immeasurable power. This one arrives in 2026, so next year. And then weirdly enough, Richie, the visuals in the Lara in this game, I think look the best. I think she looks more human, less Fortnite-y. The visuals and textures look better. The landscapes look more colour varied. It's weird how, I guess this one's closer to being finished, so that would make sense. But at the same time, I just think this one looks better overall. Either the trailer maybe just showed a bit more, but I think Lara looks spot on. She looks so good compared to the Fortnite version.
You know what? I just realised when I said she looks more like classic Lara. I was looking at the one I was watching.
You're looking at the other trailer, yeah. This one with the outfit as well.
What you say makes a lot more sense when I actually look at the Tomb Raider Catalyst trailer.
Yeah, the Catalyst is the new. There's the new entry. This is the remake. But yeah, I think the remake one, as much as walking through the jungle in the shorts and a t-shirt is not a befitting outfit, she looks spot on. Like, that's the Lara that my childhood brain remembers instead of the pointy boobs and the pixelated shape. Yeah,
that's how Lara was in your head.
Yeah.
Rather than what she actually was.
Yeah.
So I wonder where these two sit in the chronology.
Well, this is a remake. So oh, you mean like the timeline of things? There's
some
rumors.
There was talk before of bridging the gap between the remake trilogy and then Tomb Raider 1.
Yeah.
So where Tomb Raider 1 would be set after Shadow, and they probably needed a game to bridge that gap. Is Catalyst that game?
Well, the rumors I've seen,
going to retcon, going to take Legacy of Atlantis to be both Tomb Raider 1 and bridging the gap.
Yeah. Well, the rumor is at the moment is that Catalyst takes place after Tomb Raider Underworld, where she's a little bit older, and that's why she's going to look a little bit different. It's one of those things you'd imagine behind the scenes, the character models and stuff are both being used kind of in tandem. So I wouldn't be surprised if, from a business standpoint, if they're clever about this, we're going to put out 2 versions of Lara, see what the audience prefers, and then over the next year or 2 years, if people seem really happy with one of them, we'll do a Sonic the Hedgehog and we'll just lean more into... Because again, you'd imagine if it's the studio working on both of them, if they need to swap out a character model, they've probably been making them in tandem together. So then I reckon if the internet suddenly hated the remake one, they would pivot and just go, okay, we'll just use this model of Lara. Because in-house, you would imagine they have all of her moves sets down. Like, she's their protagonist. So everything will have been done to the most scrutinized degree. But yeah, I love the remake, Legacy of Atlantis. I love the look of the game. She moves like a ridiculous gymnast, like an absolute Olympian. But you know what? It looks good. The Catalyst one, it's got a couple more years to cook. I'm more than happy for it. I'm just a little bit disheartened by our Camilla Luddington's Lara didn't get a 4th outing, because those games were great.
I know, it's a shame.
But that doesn't take away from the prospect of these ones being great as well.
Yeah.
So.
100%.
And you know what? we've been we've been waiting 10 years for Uncharted, so anything that fills that void of third-person action adventure, to do with mystery and stuff, like Indiana Jones scratched the itch a little bit, but the first-person stuff didn't quite do it.
Yeah, it scratched the itch of like the kind of archaeological adventure kind of game.
Yeah.
But because the gameplay was very different to Uncharted Tomb Raider, it didn't scratch the itch of that style of gameplay.
Yeah, I wanted a bit more traversal, bit more 3D puzzle solving.
2 Tomb Raiders in 2 years to go. So
Getting great. It gives Naughty Dog time to put out another Uncharted game. It really does.
Yeah, true story.
We then moved on to Diablo 4. Got some DLC. It was kind of the next big one. Lord of the Hatred, coming April 28th. You never checked out Diablo 4, did you?
No, I've played Diablo 3. I wasn't really interested in 4, to be truthfully honest.
Look good though.
That style of game I'm just not interested in them anymore, because it's a kind of, you play through the game, getting your loot, then you start again on high difficulty, you play through it again, and you play through it again. I just lose interest. Once the story's done, I'm not interested in playing through again on a high difficulty. But that is the gameplay loop of these games.
You're supposed to start as a different character each time, because I think this trailer had a big hype about the paladins returning, and I don't know what that means. No,
you play through again, because when you go into higher difficulty, you get higher level loot, so then you can access more end game content.
Right.
So it's just, or at least that was the way in like Diablo 3 when I played it. But with Diablo 3, I lost interest in that because I started putting like a lot of online features into what I thought should just be a single player game. And it's like they put like a real world money auction house, so you could buy loot. So then you could have, or you could trade items. So it's like, well, so what? I need to go onto a website to get loot so I can play the content in my games. Like, nah, I'm not interested in that.
I'll pass. So like top
down,
games, yeah. They always do the cinematic trailers. I always think the people who do these, they're phenomenal artists and directors and storyboarders, because they always look phenomenal. I remember the one that was at the Xbox showcase looked terrific, but then they never show any gameplay ever. It's always just cinematic with elves and goblins and monsters and spells. And
I think it's because the style of gameplay isn't that eye catching.
Yeah.
So they rely heavily on the cinematic trailer, like things like Total War does.
Yeah.
If you put the gameplay of Total War, it's not really going to sell the game. If you're into that sort of game, you know you're into it. So it's like, what's the setting? What's the environment? That's what matters, I feel, for selling these games. Although I am still show me the gameplay as well. What's new about the Diablo gameplay? Or is it just the next Diablo game?
Just the next Diablo game. Moving on though, April 28th won't be that long now. The next big thing after Resident Evil is, for me especially, is 007 First Light. We got the reveal of the boss, the big boss coming out, and it's none other than Lenny Kravitz.
That came out of nowhere.
But it did come out of nowhere. I was wondering what they were actually going to show off in terms of it. Remember at that PlayStation State of Play, we got the terrible reveal of the car. The Aston Martin, that was like all of 20 seconds for a flagship one. But yeah, we got a little bit of a reveal. He's an African pirate lord, is the way he was described. Thoughts on that? Without knowing the story, it's hard to really make an assumption.
Truthfully, I only really know Lenny Kravitz from music rather than acting, so...
I barely even knew him from music. I recognise his name, but if you'd have put him in a lineup, I don't think I'd have went, that's definitely the guy. Everyone seemed to be popping off in the theatre. I think that's why I know the name more than
anything else.
I think that's why when the trailer dropped, I was a little bit underwhelmed, because I was like, I don't know who he is as an actor or a musician. And he's not a Bond villain, so he's not like a known quantity from like the books or the movies. And I think I was just expecting, I guess, someone like a known character from Bond's list of villains.
He's a bit of interesting trivia about Lenny Kravitz. Do you take a guess what the first movie he ever was in?
Rush Hour 2.
And it was 1998.
Rush Hour 2.
It wasn't Rush Hour 2.
Rush Hour 3?
No. It wasn't Rush Hour.
No, I couldn't.
You're not going to get it.
No.
The Rugrats movie.
Was it as a voice, as a voiceover, or?
According to Wikipedia, so take that with a slight pinch of salt. But he was in the Rugrats movie, and his role was newborn baby.
Wow. So just goo goo gagas and stuff.
And he was nominated for Kids' Choice Award for Best Cameo in an animated film.
Wow, that's some award up there, isn't it, with the rest of them? So yeah, take with that what you want. It's the next one out. I'll be getting it regardless. So I'm hoping he comes up across as a good villain. But we've had like Willem Dafoe and stuff in the game, so there's a high benchmark. We got a little bit of a glimpse of Saros. Showed us some gameplay. They had the protagonist come out, Rahul Kohli, and talk a little bit about the game. What they did sneak in there, though, Richie, was a little bit of a delay to Saros. So they kind of just showed the trailer, and then it had like a seemingly what looked like a reveal date at the end. And it was only well after the fact that when I was watching some stuff back, it was like, hang on a minute, it was coming out in March. And I had to do like a double take of like Google and go, it was definitely March, right? So they kind of, I think they took the Game Awards, the pomp and circumstance, to just like subtly get that in and hope people would just like go, yeah, it was coming out this year anyway. Yeah. So yeah, they showed off a bit more of the story, a bit more of the characters. We saw the protagonist actually talk during a couple of cutscenes with fellow people on his team. But yeah, been knocked back to April 30th. So my guess is no, it's you're talking just a couple of weeks. But I think they've just looked at the landscape and thought, with Resident Evil and Bond coming out and seemingly nothing in May, might as well give yourself that extra couple of weeks polish if you can.
Just
get out the way.
We'll give ourselves another month just to finish polishing the game and get out of the way of like Bond and like Resident Evil. Yeah. So it's just win-win really.
Where are you at on Saros anyway? Because like I never played Returnal because it never looked like my thing. And then I look at Saros, I'm like, I feel like I would enjoy it, but if they're gonna want like 70 quid from me, I'm like, I don't know why there's like it doesn't seem like a top tier day one purchase.
It's where I sit with roguelikes. I will enjoy, if I sat down and played it, I would really, really enjoy it. Probably for a weekend, and then I would have very little interest beyond that. Yeah. Because I just don't, it's just a style of gameplay I'm just not in, I just don't really like that kind of, okay, I've died, now start again, and died and start again. I know there's more to it than that, but it just doesn't appeal to me. I think it looks phenomenal from the outside, but I just don't want particularly interested in playing it, like I was with Returnal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great game, not for me.
Yep. Next up, we had David Harbour of Stranger Things and Marvel fame rock up on stage and tell us that Total War is going to the future for the first time ever, with its Total War, back to what I was alluding to earlier on when we were talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Tabletop games. Total War are going to the future with Warhammer 40k, and they're bringing us to the Total War saga. This is probably... I feel like this might be the perfect combination for Rob. I feel like he always plays Total War games and he loves the Warhammer 40k world. So this seems like the perfect... It seems like such an obvious fit, doesn't it, in hindsight? Like now they're making the announcement.
This is the most Rob game ever created.
Yeah, it's like, how have they not done this before Creative Assembly? But obviously the Total War games have been going for decades now, and they just kind of silently get on with it, don't they, behind the scenes?
Yeah, every few years to bring out a new game, whether it's in Rome or in space.
I've never gone to space before. This is a new frontier for them. But tying it with Warhammer, again, on the rise of that, with Space Marine 3 on the horizon, the Henry Cavill TV/movie series on the horizon, I think it's going to be the next like huge kind of just mega franchise that takes over nerddom.
Yeah, this is going to be an amazing game, like for Total War. Yeah, if they get it right, because it is a new territory going into space, that's going to change things up a bit. But if they get it right, you trust the guys at Creative Assembly to make these style of games. Yeah, like the actual gameplay loop of it's going to be fantastic. Graphically, it'll look great, and I just think, giving them the keys to the character roster that comes with Warhammer 40k, like they can go so crazy with just like specialty characters and creatures and such. But I feel like with Warhammer 40k, it's a franchise where it doesn't have like as tight of a canon as other IP, so you can completely tell your own story. Mm-hmm. And people go, oh yeah, that's cool. That's a cool interpretation of it, because that's what happens with tabletop games. People tell their own stories. Yeah, and I can see them do that. They'll give you a cluster of random planets,
and then the Space Marines and stuff will come from various sectors. There'll be some aliens and some demons coming through portals, and yeah, just fight for the Emperor as you do. So yeah, looks good for me. Looks great. Can't wait to see more of that one. We then got Ace Combat 8: Wings of Thief, which I didn't like the name for. The Wings of Thief didn't sit with me right.
Yeah, it is an S in there.
Yeah, it shows. I mean, it needs an I as well in the way it's spelled. But they showed off like a quick Top Gun-esque inspired trailer where one of the guys dies. You take up the mantle of being like the top Ace Combat fighter, and yeah, looks great. It is what it is. But then we got a teaser for Star Wars Galactic Racer, Richie, which did you know pod racing's fun?
Pod racing is fun. It always was.
And this is another one that when it started, just aesthetically, I mean, it started with a destroyed Star Destroyer, so it was pretty. This one was a bit more on the nose Star Wars than the not Knights of the Old Republic. What was it? Fate of the Old Republic.
Fate of the Old Republic.
Reading from the blog, they say you can almost feel the Jakku sun beating down on your face as you round the bend, navigate between a downed Star Destroyer and what's left of an AT-AT in the Graveyard of Giants. The familiar location of Star Wars Force Awakens, a popular haunt for scavengers like Rey in later years, has been transformed into an unsanctioned racetrack for the all-new video game Star Wars Galactic Racer. Along with the reveal of an exciting fest trailer. Basically, I hate the way they do this when the blogs, they're almost describing the game and then they pivot into a sales pitch rather than tell you more about the game. This is from Fuse Games co-founder. So basically, this is the people who made the Burnout series and Need for Speed Underground. So these guys know racing through and through. The trailer ended with a little bit of a clip from Sebulba, but essentially, it's Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer that you remember all too well. Probably played it on the N64. I think that's where most people played it back in the day. It's back.
We keep saying Pod Racer and seeing Pod Racer over what everyone's talking about is by watching the trailer back and watching like the key art and stuff that they've actually published.
Seems more speeders.
I don't see a single Pod Racer.
There's one in the clip. I don't know at what stage, but there is definitely a Pod Racer in there.
There's something that looks similar, but they call it a skim speeder.
I mean, they're all the same things, right? They all just float and race.
Yeah, but when you think of a pod racer, you think of the two engines up front connected by cables to a pod at the back.
True.
A lot of these look fully rigid.
That's true. What weirdly enough, to be a big nerd, what disappointed me about the trailer, I thought the music really let it down. Whereas the Photor music, immediately you were like, okay, there's Star Wars little cues and orchestral beats. I feel like this one just took like a dramatic piece of music and put it over it. And it didn't line up. The sound effects, they didn't really have any, like, I mean, if they're not pod racers, that makes sense. But it felt like it was missing that Star Wars juice a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the trailer would have been better if you had a little bit more of a Star Wars music, especially if it was like Episode 1 themed. And then the sound effects, like I said, I was expecting the Sebulba engine, like all those like things that your brain associates with that pod race. I said that even the commentator talking over the top going, Galactic Racers, why didn't they get the two-headed guy from Episode 1?
Yeah.
Oh, Nadabonga, they're side by side. What? And they're like all back and forth all the time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it would be cool. It'd be cool if like they had different themes associated with different planets that you're racing on come through somehow.
But it's nice to see them going back to pod racing, I think, is the big thing. Or Galactic Racer, as they've titled it.
There will be pod racers in this. If you know what, I bet you. Here's my prediction right now: Anakin's pod racer will be DLC.
Oh, I mean, I'd imagine that they all will be if they get it right. We got Star Wars Race Episode 1 Racer on I think it got a port, didn't it? Last year sometime.
It was a port. Was it just a PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, I think it was just like one of them like random PS2 port. But in terms of racing games, I'm there for it. I think Episode 1 Racer was great, but they definitely need more pod racing. Sebulba might be there, but I need to see a bit more than just Sebulba rocking up. Then we got a little bit of Phantom Blade Zero was shown off. We got a tease for Mega Man. Seemed to be like a really big one. Mega Man Dual Override was teased. Where are you at with Mega Man? I feel like I've played them over the years, like on and off, but it's never been a franchise that's really drove home to me like a lot of people associate.
Never really played it.
I feel like I played Sonic while other people were playing Mega Man.
Yeah, it's like one of them as a kid, you just, if you didn't have the game, it might be one of the most popular games in the world, but if you didn't have it, then you just didn't play it. It's like, I think games were a lot less accessible when we were kids in terms of how many games you could have. You had to wait for Christmas.
Yeah, or your birthday.
Yeah, we didn't have PlayStation Plus or things like Game Pass and things like that.
And even then,
you had to wait for Christmas or your birthday, and then you potentially went and bought one, maybe 2 games max.
Yeah, and even then, you might have also wanted to ask for like a Power Ranger toy or something else.
Yeah.
At the time, so it didn't always
or a new
necessarily
bike.
go against. Yeah, something else. But yeah, Mega Man Dual Override is back, coming 2027, which seems like a bit of a tease for seemingly what looks like a classic 2.5D side scroller in the Mega Man world. I don't know if this is necessarily Mega Man 12. I think they're up to now, or if this is
I
just
don't know. There's millions of Mega Man games, like
spin-offs and such.
It's Mega Man Dual Overdrive.
It's the Dual Overdrive, and then the end of the trailer kind of has him in like a 3D guise. So I'm wondering if the Dual is kind of like the game's going to be half 3D, half 2D. If you get like, is there something in the wording of it that
I
gets
feel
your
like
interest?
All the marketing saying it's a 2D side scroll. I think that's just an aesthetic choice for the trailer, like a bit of key art.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And then we had the Symphony Orchestra do the thing. We had the Game of the Year award imminently coming up. But before that, we had the tease of a new game made by veterans from Apex Legends and Titanfall Studios. They formed their own new studio too, and they're making a game. Highguard was shown off and teased, and I've seen the internet not be too kind to this. I wasn't too kind on it last night at the time of recording. It's a 3v3, is it 3v3 PvP? It essentially looks like a hero shooter, but it's got this little bit of a gimmick of like it's fantasy meets technology, and you go out on scavengers to get resources and take bases. I can see the Apex DNA in there, absolutely. But to end the show, for me, this was just kind of like, it just looked generic as all shit. And it was like, it was such a weak ending.
I was watching this trailer going, you could have told me this was Overwatch.
Like, yeah, it looks like a hero shooter.
And then it's a free-to-play online hero shooter that's PvP. It's ticking a lot of boxes for a lot of people, but I am very, very not that person. So it was a weak ending. Considering they started the main show with Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic and Divinity.
Yeah, it feels like you could have took one of them and put them at the end.
Or Control Resonant. Or Resident Evil Requiem.
Yeah, something.
Or Double O First Light. Or Saros. Or Total War, Warhammer. I feel like half the show was like more interesting.
Yeah, it seemed that way, and I think that's why I left it a little bit flat. And I guess Jeff, to his credit, when it comes to the Game Awards, is he always ends on the orchestra doing the kind of the Game of the Year medley, and then he announces the Game of the Year, and then it ends, and he doesn't kind of want to overshadow that victory with, like, I guess another teaser or another trailer. So it always feels a bit odd. Absolutely fair. But yeah, to end on this one, do like the big hype up of like, oh, it's from Apex Legends and the studio that brought people that brought you Titanfall. To then shows what looks like, as you said, another hero shooter that we've had many of, and character-wise, the character models just look like the same people I've seen in everything since Overwatch. All of the things that have came and attempted it.
The same colour palettes, the same art style. It's
bright yellows, bright blues, purple shields on everything. There's no doubt with it being free-to-play, that means there's going to be seasonal stuff, skin packs, and it's just everything that I don't like about the industry.
It's going to be everything you expect this game to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, it looks like Overwatch, if Overwatch had a slightly more fantasy elements to it. But even then, there's a lot of like gunplay in the game.
Yeah.
So it's not just going, right, it's not even there. What if we made Overwatch, but it's entirely melee combat?
Yeah. Overwatch meets Avowed kind of theming.
Yeah.
Cool name, Highguard. It's a cool name. I like the colour palette they've got on the kind of marketing, the gold and the black. It's coming free on January 26th, so you do only have to wait 7 weeks to get your hands on this. So I appreciate that they've managed to keep it secretive and then do the big reveal, and it's coming literally just the other side of Christmas. But then, yeah, it just felt a bit like, that's what you're going to end it on.
But don't you just when you hear games free to play, my mind immediately goes to, no game's truly free to play. What's your revenue strategy for this game?
Yeah, where are we going with this one?
Where am I? How am I paying for this game?
Yeah, anything that's PvP and stuff, it's beyond us. But we won't lament that. I'm sure it's a fun game, but yeah, I mean, in the world of like what Arc Raiders has done so well, I feel like I would still rather just go play Arc Raiders.
A new season of content for Arc Raiders would have been a stronger end to the game.
It quite possibly would have been. Yeah, it got a lot of cheers at the awards because it did win. It did win best something. But then I guess just to round out this show, Richie in particular, we've got the awards winners. Game of the Year, the big title, it went to Expedition 33. We had Best Art Direction, went to Expedition 33. Best Audio Design went to Battlefield 6, surprisingly enough, but I can see why. Game Direction.
I feel like I made a case for that. Actually.
Yeah, I think you did, because of the bullets and the little sound effects. Best Game Direction went to Expedition 33. Best Multiplayer was Arc Raiders, so it nicked in there. Best Narrative was Expedition 33. Best Performance was Expedition 33, Jennifer English. The Best Score and Music, Expedition 33. The Best Action Game, Hades 2. Expedition wasn't in that category, so there's that. Best Action Adventure Game, Hollow Knight Silksong, got its one award, which has shocked a lot of people. Beat Indiana Jones. I was really hoping for Indiana Jones there, because again, for a game to come out over 11 months ago and just nick in even to be in the category is a testament to how good that game has kind of clung on and been relevant still. Best Family Game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think that was my choice as well. Best Fighting Game, Fatal Fury. Never heard of it. Best Independent Game, Expedition 33. I thought this might have been the one where they might have give it to a more traditional indie game.
I would have thought. I was thinking Blueprints for this.
Yeah. I feel like any of the other ones were more classic indie type, but again, Expedition 33 is their first game. And then it went on to Best RPG, Expedition 33. Best Ongoing Game.
Oh, you skipped over Best Mobile Game.
I did, yeah. Best Ongoing Game, No Man's Sky, which surprised me. No Man's Sky, which just pops up every 3 months with a full free update that revolutionises parts of that game, and it's baffling the redemption story No Man's Sky has gone on. So shout out to Hello Games.
I thought Marvel Rivals might have snuck in there.
I thought Helldivers would have still had a decent bit of relevance, but No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a quieter year for Helldivers this year, though.
Yeah. Best RPG, Expedition 33. Best Sports Racing Game, Mario Kart World.
Expedition 33.
Could you imagine? Best Sim Strategy Game, Final Fantasy Tactics, the Evil East Chronicles, which I feel like was a bit... It's a remaster, so I felt a few people were a bit...
It's a remake.
Yeah, but still people were a bit... I thought the Alters would have got that one. Best VR Game was The Midnight Walk, which is that little EA, the little pot guy, which you can play normal. Best TV Adaptation was The Last of Us, which we called out on the show last week. Community Support, Baldur's Gate 3. Best Debut Indie Game, Expedition 33. Innovation for Accessibility, Doom the Dark Ages, which I didn't realise Doom went that hard on accessibility, but there it is.
To be fair, it's a fast frenetic game, so if they've put a lot of effort in to make it playable for people who can't typically use controls and stuff, fantastic work.
My brain went to Assassin's Creed Shadows just because I think Ubisoft, every one of their games always starts with that voice over narrative, click left, and then it gives you like 100 options before you even start the game.
Is this because you've played it though? Like,
maybe. I've just got that's true. That's true. Very true. Games for Impact, South of Midnight, esports, Counter-Strike 2, and then yada 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 into content creators and stuff. Most anticipated game, GTA 6, of course, and Player's Voice.
Not to GTA 6. I just hate that award.
Yeah, and then Player's Voice was won by Wuthering Waves, which I think was the biggest shock, specifically because it came out in 2024. So I think there's a lot of people saying it shouldn't have really even been in there. I thought, for me, this is one I thought Dispatch was going to get in on this one. This was the only one that Dispatch was up for, I think, and it got pipped. Player's Voice. But all things considered, Richie, decent showing, I think, by Jeff and the crew. Typical things that we always talk about. It was way too long. It was padded out with a lot of filler, but we kind of have to accept that.
This year, actually, it wasn't 4.5 hours; it was 3.5.
Yeah, so he's trimmed something.
Yeah.
There's some things that I like the Muppets as much as the next guy. I don't need a 3 to 4 minute performance by Miss Piggy and a dog. Didn't need to happen.
It was a bit weak this time.
Yeah, very weak. Yeah, they got an A-lister in Miss Piggy. She's arguably the most famous Muppet they've ever had on the show, and yet it didn't quite flow. It felt like very forced to get it in there. Similar to some of the awards getting shafted, like I think Best Debut Indie Game was just one of the quick throwaway ones. It's like some of the important awards seem to get no stage time.
I still feel like he needs to scrap his categories and redefine them because you look at some of the categories and they just don't really make sense. Best action game and then there's best action adventure game. I feel like, and the games in there are massively different.
Yeah.
Best action game, you've got Hades 2 against Doom the Dark Ages against Battlefield 6. They're not comparable games. Like, he needs to, I think they need to be reworked. He also needs to remember, truthfully, this is my biggest gripe with him, and it's the reason why I couldn't cover it this year. There's more to the world than America. You need to move it around.
Well, yeah.
Start picking a different country every year, or try and find a time zone that maybe isn't a bit more inconvenient for the Americans, but doesn't mean the show starts at 12:30 on a Friday morning. Move it to the Friday as well, so it's
a random work day in the middle of the week.
Yeah, these are things you can do. You could book the theatre out the next day, and then
everyone's off on Saturday. Yeah. Well, not everyone, but you know what I mean. The majority.
Push it 2 hours earlier as well.
Yeah.
So it starts over here at 10:30 rather than 12:30.
Yeah.
And then it finishes at 1, 2 in the morning rather than 4.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours is a big difference over here. And it's more slight inconvenience for America.
Yeah.
So
it is a big one. It is a big one. And but overall some good stuff. I think there's similar things we have from it before. Big losers and missing in action. I was honestly, upon reflection, I think this is the first award show Hideo Kojima's been at, and he's not won anything. Across the board, Death Stranding 2 up for multiple categories. Kojima was there in person. In fact, you know what? Kojima didn't even get to go on stage this year, Richie. This must be the first Game Awards since he left Konami that he's not actually had a half an hour window to...
He didn't win anything, and he didn't advertise anything.
He just actually was there for the show, which is wild.
Not even a podcast.
I don't even think he acknowledged him, did he? Like, our friend Kojima is here in the crowd. Wow.
Yeah.
The other one...
He might have come with a bit of criticism for bringing up Kojima a bit too much.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But the other one was Ghost of Yotei. 0 awards.
I'm not actually surprised. It's a great game, but again, it's pretty much going up head to head against Expedition.
Yeah, I think that's it. We're getting back to our argument at the beginning of the show of just
same with Death Stranding. Actually, Death Stranding's doing the same thing. It's pretty much always going head to head with a game.
Yeah.
But
and this is
the
where
thing with Yotei and Death Stranding both have is they're both the sequels to games.
Yeah, true. But
Expedition 33, brand new game, brand new studio, and was objectively the better game. So
yeah, I think this is
everything going for it.
This is where we said, like, in the last couple of weeks leading up to this, of like the way the judging works is that you would maybe think that they'll vote for Game of the Year is going to be Expedition. So then you could see Ghost of Yotei or Death Stranding 2 picking up art direction, music, like story. There's something else in there that those categories they could on any other year they might have won. But like you said, because Expedition is so good, it's not fair that it doesn't win. Because to be fair to the other players, like if it is the best, then it should mess out all other ones.
I'm sure there will have been some outlets who did vote like that, but it seems like this year most of the outlets went, no, this is the best game. This is the best game we've played this year.
Yeah,
visually, we think it's the best. The music's the best. It just wins. It's better than the other games.
Yeah,
I think like art direction as well. I think that's one where it's like, well, I think we talked about it before, where a handful of the actually games, these are sequels, so that direction isn't new. It's the next game in the series.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I think there's part of me when like I see Battlefield 6 getting like music audio design, I'm like, oh, Ghost of Yorte's like audio was so good though, for like all the little, like different trinkets for the wind and the creatures, and but then you're right, it's just more of the same. Split Fiction also 0, so it won. Takes Two won Game of the Year a few years back, and then to come with arguably a better game, and then not to get any. Joseph Fares kept quiet, didn't get to say fuck the Oscars once. Didn't even get on stage.
Split Fiction, it was pretty much up again, head to head with Expedition 33.
Yeah.
It just happens that the best game this year, by seemingly a distance, happened to be an indie game, the first for the studio.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the nature of it sometimes.
And then in terms of games missing action, I was absolute shooing that we were going to see Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced. There was like more leaks this week talking about it. And
do we ever really see Ubisoft though?
Well, the scrap that Ubisoft forwards, and then I feel like they used to be
this year, but we don't. I don't think you really get them at Kojima shows. Not Kojima shows, Jeff Keighley shows.
Usually half Kojima shows.
Yeah.
So none of that. No Max Payne remake, but I get Remedy came with Control, so
it's
Remedy are doing it on behalf of Take-Two, and Rockstar. But so I'm guessing, it's like, well, we'll go with Control, and we'll maybe save Max Payne for the summer Game Fest. No hardware, no Steam Machine. I'm absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
There was nothing from them, not even an advert for Steam Machine.
No Prime Gaming either. No, Amazon Gaming.
Amazon Luna was
something
there.
else. Yeah, I was going to say, Amazon Luna made it.
2 adverts. I clocked 2 Amazon Luna adverts promoting that shitty Snoop Dogg game. Wow, it's more adverts than Stadia ever managed at the awards. So shout out to Amazon Luna there.
But we have to give it props because we always give Amazon shit for promoting Amazon Gaming and ignoring Luna.
Yeah, they did it, folks. They did it. And to their credit, the Tomb Raider games are Amazon Game Studios. Will they be coming to Luna?
Published by Amazon.
Probably not.
In cooperation with the Embracer Group.
Yeah. Well, they own the rights and do this and that.
Yeah.
And I think they got the rights as part of the TV series that they're doing. So it's a whole thing. It's the same with Lord of the Rings, isn't it? So no Steam Machine, no Half-Life. Seemingly quite a quiet showing from Xbox as well. They usually go quite friendly with Jeff at these events. The Xbox One was the Xbox Series X, was revealed at a Game Awards a few years back.
Yeah, I think Xbox might be one of them where they've come under criticism over the last few years for just not producing any games that are in the running for any categories. So they might want to go, maybe we don't want to be at this.
Yeah.
if we're not a contender for our games, do we want to market our games there?
I mean, the people were there representing, obviously South of Midnight team were there. Todd Howard was there. The guys for Doom Eternal from Bethesda were there on stage. Weirdly enough, they thanked Xbox. And I said, like, you are Xbox now. You've been Xbox for many, many years. Like,
they operate the same.
Yeah, they do, but it was just weird to hear them say it. That was the Game Awards. So let us know in the comments below if there's any glaring omissions we missed or didn't cover, we didn't talk about. Is there any that you're massively disappointed about? Or was it really just the Expedition 33 Awards? Probably rightly so. Quick fire news stories just to get them out of the way. PlayStation Plus catalogue for December's added a few more things on. Some mega titles have just dropped, actually. Assassin's Creed Mirage and Wolong Fallen Dynasty is in there with Skate Story, Planet Coaster 2, Grand Blue Fantasy, and Cat Quest 2 as well. So if you're looking to play that, some additional games added. 3, Cat Quest 3. And then we'll probably maybe touch on it in the future weeks because it'll be an ongoing story. But yeah, Netflix, the buyout deal we discussed on last week's show. Apparently, when they factored in their $83 billion acquisition of WB, the gaming division didn't even factor into their calculations, and they quote, see it as a relatively minor point compared in the grander scheme of things. So basically, Netflix don't give a toss about WB Gaming and Rocksteady and NetherRealm and Mortal Kombat and the Batman Arkham games and everything in between. So Hogwarts Legacy, as big as it is, apparently Netflix doesn't really give a toss. So that's going to unfold. Yeah.
We miss out some big franchises, actually, when we're talking about like Mortal Kombat. Just an absolute pillar of the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm. The Lego games to WB as well. It's huge. But there was also the little tidbit this past week. I don't know if you clocked it anywhere, Richie. Paramount have since came in with a cash offer for WB. So Netflix have sanctioned the deal, but while it's on the table, Paramount have came with a cash offer, giving a higher value share price than Netflix are offering. So this story isn't over. This story isn't over yet. So again, where gaming falls in that, does Paramount give a shit about gaming? Probably not. But they do make movies as well, and I feel like Paramount, it's got the weird Trump connections, but then they are traditionally more of a cinema producing company who'll put stuff in theaters. So it's a whole conversation to have another time as that unravels, but it's very much not going to be as smooth sailing as I think Netflix initially thought. But that brings us to an end for this week's show. As I mentioned, we've been recording on the Friday, 12th of December, following the Game Awards reveals. So if any other little trickly news stories or details come out between now and this show going live, we may have quite missed it, but we do like to end every single show by looking back at this day in video game history. 12th of December, Richie, anything that jumps out for you?
The PlayStation Portal.
Portable.
PlayStation Portable, the PSP, came out
21 years ago in Japan in 2004. The classic PSP. Always baffles me.
Really.
How many units did the PSP sell?
6.
No,
at least.
It's crazy high. That's the thing. 80 million units during its lifespan. 80 million, and then the Vita obviously dropped off a cliff. And they've never really went back and tried it, but we shall see. Anything else for the days ahead? We should point out as well, actually, today is also the launch date of the Terminator 2D No Fate, which is the retro throwback game. I know there's a couple of people talking about a Discord server. We didn't really get time to get around to reviews for that one, but it's reviewing quite well. So we'll maybe pick up on that one next week as well. So we almost got it in there.
Yeah, December the 13th. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, 23 years ago in Japan on the GameCube.
I like it. Gran Turismo 5 for me, 18 years ago in Japan on the PS3. GT5, always a good one.
High on Life, 3 years ago.
High on Life. And we've got High on Life 2 coming imminently as well. So interesting. And then probably the final one is December 14th, 24 years ago, Animal Crossing. The OG Animal Crossing came out.
You skipped Mario Kart 64.
Did I? I didn't even see it.
Yeah, 29 years ago.
Where at?
In Japan.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, there. Mario Kart 64. Classic. Just like this episode has been a classic episode of the GamerGuild Podcast. Very much for our Game Awards special, but that's the great thing. It fills out an entire show of talking about all the games that are coming up in the near future for our playing pleasure. That's been it for episode 122. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here, like those aforementioned live streams, like our retro podcasts, our shows, and everything else in between. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
We've been Chris and Richie for the GamerGuild Podcast. Remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest, and get some sleep. Get some sleep, everyone, if you've watched it. Goodbye.
Good night.
Like what I did there with Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider? It's still just Tomb Raider, right?
Tomb
Raider.
Either
way.